Pack your bags, Teresa. We're going to the Gulf Coast.
Alabama.
You got that right. You guys know Teresa and I love traveling, which is why we couldn't be more excited about our new sponsor, Spectrum Resorts.
They have 2 incredible properties on the Gulf Coast, so you can get away from it all at either the Beach Club or Turquoise Place.
And right now, get $200 off your stay at either resort by booking directly through Spectrum Resorts using promo code POD1. That's POD and the number 1. Book the Beach Club for a relaxing, safe, and secluded beach resort vacation, or Turquoise Place and experience the epitome of luxury with hot tubs and grills on every balcony, along with a lazy river and other world-class amenities. You'll have the best time at either resort with dining, shopping, resort-style pools, plus organized activities, and so much more.
Doesn't this sound amazing, guys?
Amazing, Teresa.
Just make sure you book directly through Spectrum Resort for amazing perks at either property, including discounts on dining, spa, treatments, and more. Plus, at Turquoise Place, you'll even get complimentary breakfast, which is a big savings for families.
It sure is. So check out beachclubal.com or turquoiseplace.com to book your vacation using promo code POD1 for $200 off your next stay at either resort. That's $200 off your next stay using promo code POD1. Again, that's POD and the number 1. We'll also put the links in the show notes. And thank you again to Spectrum Resorts for sponsoring this podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a very special episode of Married to Reality. I'm John, here with my wife and co-host, of course, Teresa, as well as our new friends and special guests, Chris and Wah of the Docusweeties podcast. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. Guys, if you just stumbled over here and pressed play and don't know what's going on, we did part 1 over on the Docusweeties podcast. We covered we did a little overarching the other way talk. And we all have some thoughts. So if you didn't listen to that, definitely go over there and listen to that. And then we did Carlos and Valentine. Well, we did not do them, although Valentine may want us to do. He's the more the better, right? We talked about Carlos and Valentine, and again, an interesting discussion was had. So make sure you go check out part 1 on the Docusweeties podcast. We're going to cover Jessica and Juan and Lydia and Scott on this part 2. But before we do, Chris, Wah, if you want to tell our friends who may not be familiar with your podcast a little bit about your podcast, that would be awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So here's the thing. We love to talk, both of us. We can't wait to talk and see who's going to talk first. We're really good friends. We've been friends for years. And so randomly in life, we would watch TV together and stuff. And this was a show that we started watching. And then 1 billion years ago, we started just talking about it on YouTube. By this show, obviously this is season 4 of this. We're talking 90 Day Fiancé, old mother country. And from that, we started also just having a lot of fun doing live streaming on YouTube and such, and we're as artists, as content artists, we have evolved that into having this really fun podcast, Docusweeties, where we get to have our fun and very sometimes cynical or, little sassy but sweet, hopefully, friendship talk and recap different docuseries from the trashy ones like Love After Lockup and 90 Day Fiancé and all of that to stuff that's on Netflix or Hulu that's more bingey, watchy, someone's getting murdered or a cult leader or something like that. Okay. Go ahead, Wah.
Let me say it. Now let me say exactly what she said in what makes sense. So Chris and I have known each other for the better part of 18 years.
Oh boy.
We met, let me tell you our love story. We met at an audition. I walked in and I saw her sitting there and it was love at first sight. And she had bangles on her wrist. And I was like, who is this fabulous person? And we auditioned for this show. We got in, we had our first rehearsal and we beelined to each other. Thank God you got cast. And then we've been friends ever since. And we started off, Chris actually introduced me to the show with season, I can't remember, 4 with Anfisa and George. And she would be like, I have to watch 90 Day Fiancé. And I'd be like, okay, because I'd be hanging out at her house in LA. And then finally one day I just watched Before the 90 Days. I had a YouTube channel and I did makeup and I watched Before the 90 Days and I met Darcey Silva and fell in love.
That's a life-changing moment for all of us.
Amen.
I mean, yeah, it was Paul and Karini. It was that amazing season 1 of Before the 90 Days. And I was like, Chris, you have to do this. You're the one who introduced me to this show. You have to do it. So then she got her channel and then we had our channels and now we have our podcast and we're Docusweeties.
That's awesome. It's a beautiful love story. Unlike the love stories that we'll talk about on this podcast today, I say we just get right into it. Because
let's do it.
This episode 1 kicked off with fresh meat, fresh faces, because there was a couple, and I use this term lightly, older faces, just meaning that we've seen them in other iterations of the show or the series, Lydia and Carlos and Valentine, but Jessica and Juan, who grace our screens first. This is the type of couple that drew me into this franchise in the first place. We have Jessica, 29, from Torrington, Wyoming. Okay, didn't know that place existed until now. And Juan, my wife has schooled me on how to pronounce this name. Juan. Okay, so if I'm tickling your eardrums, listeners, that's because I'm pronouncing the name properly. Juan from Colombia, also 29. You live, you learn. So 29, two 29-year-olds, the ages check out. The aesthetics check out. They're a good-looking couple. And I think that's where it's going to end. I think that's where the good news is going to end because this couple seems it's going to take a tragic turn, and unfortunately there are children involved.
You think so? Okay. I only think it may or may not take a tragic turn because of where she lives. And listen, we've been to Wyoming, love Montana, love hiking, but a town where there is more cows than people and a guy who lives in paradise and is surrounded by hot people on the boat making drinks cannot live in what is called Torrington, Wyoming. And I think
you
that's
just
what
made
it's
my
gonna end.
argument. You just made my argument for me, Teresa. Thank you. So let's
You're
move to the
welcome,
next
Jonathan.
couple. No. Chris, are we cynical? Is there any chance for this couple?
No, I'll be honest. I agree with you all. It's just like that Chinese food restaurant. It's a perfect metaphor of this relationship in this town, honey. Someone thought it was a good idea, but it's not, and it's not definitely sustainable. Like it's dark.
It's going
in
out of
that
business.
restaurant.
It's going out of business soon.
Too bad, because I can't tell you how much I love a spring roll.
Yeah.
I'm an egg roll guy, but I won't fault
I
you
love
for
spring rolls.
All right.
I didn't know there was a difference. 1, 2, I have so many questions. How much money does she make that she's been to Colombia 6 times in the last whatever, and then she just goes on a cruise? I want to know, does she own the land? Like, does she not pay rent? She has 2 children and she can afford to go on vacation as often as she's gone, or at least to go see her boo as often as she's gone. Also, this ex-husband, I want to know, like, has he not had any worries about her meeting a bartender on a cruise and then introducing her 2 very young, impressionable boys to this man?
These are all good concerns.
She says something like she would not be able to do the traveling that she had unless she wasn't co-parenting as well as she was because of how amicable the relationship was. Now, having said that, I wonder what his thoughts are having watched some stuff because there was some questionable parenting happening this episode. But
Very, very true.
Yeah. He might be very young too, because I think she's so fun. She looks like she had these babies, honey, when she was like 14, not really, but like 19 and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she dresses so young. Like one thing I'll tell you right now that definitely Juan did not know, had no idea when he came up to that girl at the casino that night that she had 2 kids, not ever. Like she saw that rainbow shirt and those short jean shorts. And he was like, she hadn't had no babies, but she had 2 babies. She looks great.
It's a very good point you make there. Yeah, this was just he has anointed himself the hot bartender, which is red flag number 1 and number 2. But you're right. He just saw this attractive young female and said another notch on the belt. But then maybe I don't know if he was guilted into it or he realized, okay, I can't just be playing with the heart of a mother of 2. He somehow got sucked into this relationship and it's gonna be rocky. I think the seas are gonna be a little rocky.
And it's gonna be, so here's the thing. They reminded me of Amber and Daniel. I kept calling him Danielle, but Daniel. But unlike Amber and Daniel, they cannot go anywhere. It's not like, oh, let's move to Florida, let's move to Miami. They cannot, because she has a shared custody. So they're stuck in small town Torrington, Wyoming, where it smells like cow poop, and that's it. And I'm just picturing Smelltown. I'm just picturing this guy bartending at a Chinese restaurant if it ever reopens, and that would be it. That would be his life, and I don't see that happening.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Miso soup. That's Japanese.
Me so horny, and that's what got him into this whole mess to start.
Yes, those green eyes, honey. Those green eyes will get you every time. Them devil eyes.
Is he attractive? What's the verdict on this?
Not my type.
I can't tell. It's like he has all the makings of possibly being attractive, but they're not quite put in the right order on his face to where he's like truly attractive. The only good thing about him going to Wyoming is that at least he's not like a dark-skinned Latino. He might get away with looking like the locals, except for then he starts speaking. Like that, one of my worries is when anybody from another country goes to a place, and I don't know anything about Wyoming, but these are concerns when you go to rural places where people are mainly the same ethnicity, and that ethnicity is not Colombian. So, you know, that was one of my concerns for him. And then also being a dad to, you know, I'm not saying that Jessica has a very specific, you know, like rearing style. Or at least what she was showing us on TV was quite interesting. And I don't know if Juan quite understands it, especially because he's not like he's ever said like, oh, I had nieces and nephews, so I understand it. Like he's coming completely fresh. And and this is really shitty of me, but I kind of feel bad for him.
Honestly, I feel bad in a sense that he, and I can speak to that as a fellow foreigner, like foreigners have a certain perspective of America, right? And every country has a different perspective. A lot of Europeans have a perspective that, oh, we go and visit, but we don't want to live here really. And there's a few of us that fell in love with the country and a man. Hello, Jonathan. But the idea is like, oh, you see US, you see the US, and you see New York, you see LA, you see Miami, right? Those are the big cities, and the TV, what's on TV, and the movies. No one tells you about the small town USA, middle of nowhere, just like silos and cows. And he doesn't probably know that. You might tell him I live in a small town. He probably thinks like, oh, small town outside of a big town, right? But that's not Wyoming. And so even if they somehow make it and the week is going to go so well, they're going to fall in love, once he gets to this town, he's going to be like, absolutely fucking not. So I don't know. I'm excited to watch them, but
it's such a life change because you're going from a boat to land. You're going from a lot of people to no people, the language,
literally,
the jobs. Now he's got kids. Yeah. Everything in his life is about to change.
The weather.
Oh yeah.
The wardrobe. No more board shorts. No more going topless wearing your board shorts now.
For like a month out of the year.
Topless.
Yeah. Going topless. Shout out to Rishi. Yeah. So the plan here, we learn that Jessica's gonna go back to Colombia with the kids for a week, and this is gonna be like a trial run. Juan has met the kids once, which I'll give credit to Jessica for not just shoving the kids down his throat immediately. But now it's time for him to go play daddy for a week to see if he can handle it. And this is just a bogus test. This is not a true test of can he be a father or not, especially because she's bringing a babysitter with her.
Yeah,
that's
for
very
sure.
True. Megan, her famous traveling buddy, old Megan, honey. Megan and her just get on two for one deals on Travel Zoo. They just hop on flights all the goddamn time. I bet they have a wealth of, crazy ass stories between them. But what obviously is painful for me is a comment that she makes to her boys in anticipation of going over there.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you bring it up?
Oh, no, I was going to agree with you. So she says, she's like, I need you guys to act right so that he'll like me.
Ooh.
Or something like that.
I'll say, you know what? We have it written
that.
down. That was me.
So they were in the kitchen. They were like playing around on each other. And she's like, guys, don't wrestle. And then she makes, I guess, an American classic, which I didn't learn was American classic until I was well into my adulthood, which is like tomato soup and grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so
After school special.
I never even heard of that until I was well into my 20s. But so she makes them that. They're playing around and she's like, you guys have to be good because, and Chris, you can say the quote.
I don't want you guys to scare him away. And then they're like,
Ooh.
we won't. This is literally what they say. We won't. No way. He's going to love us, is what they say. These two sweet angel red-haired boys, honey, ginger boys, like the two princes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, is it Harry? Is, you know, I can't tell.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
I
And
do
it was
too.
like, I every part of me, like, kind of like bit every other part of me, you know, like I bit myself as like my whole body bit the other part of my body. Like, it was just like, oh, you know, kind of that kind of like moment where you're like, wow, first of all, that has never say that any of your relationships have anything to do with them or have them feel any sort of responsibility out of their choices that you are making. You've already told us that this is the first relationship since their dad. And, you know, and I don't know how much work you've done other than the fact that you FaceTime and let them talk all the time. But the verbiage that you're using just makes it feel like if this wasn't to work out, the children would be devastated again. And I think that when you begin, by the way, I'm a child of divorced parents, so it's a little triggering, but it makes me feel like you have to know that if a child has already gone through a divorce, you have to let that not ever be a possibility again that like your mom might not or your dad might fall apart. And so you have to be on your shit. Like, you've already exposed all that to your kids. Like, your kids have already gone through a relationship disintegrating. So now every adult relationship you have until your kids are 18, that's your time. That's between you guys. I mean, until you're married. I don't want to tell you, you know, like, and I want them to meet. It's not that I don't want them to meet. It's that I want you to never talk about what actually is happening between you and your relationship with that person, or how you feel, or if they like those kids. From what those kids know, they love those kids.
But putting pressure on the kids it's kind of dark. I mean, we've seen so many relationships where one partner tries to change the other partner, but now you have one partner trying to change their kids. Like, don't act like kids. We don't want to scare off daddy. And that's super unfair and unfortunate for the kids. And now that you say it rushes back into my memory, and that's wild. Yeah.
Daddy, the hottest bartender on the cruise, honey. You know, I mean, it's just like, you know, this is the Chinese restaurant thing. This is like, you know, this is not sustainable. This is why
Don't
this is
blow
why
this for me.
Yeah. And also, it makes me sad for the kids because
they didn't ask to be part of this at all.
No, but honestly, like, she literally said, I live in a town of 5,000 people. I mean, she probably banged a good amount of them in high school. So, and then a lot of old people, I can imagine, in Wyoming. So if you narrow it down, there are going to be some friends of the husband. Like, she doesn't have anyone to choose from. So her going somewhere else and meeting someone on a cruise, I don't think she planned it. I think it happened. And I think she really wants it. And we don't have kids. I'm a child of bickering parents. I mean, they've been going strong for 36 years, but they freaking fight all the time. But still together, I can't imagine how that feels.
Me too.
But I can tell that, you know, if you are a woman raising your kids alone, you want someone there. And if there is no one around you, you're going to look elsewhere. So I think she really wants it for herself and for the kids. And it's shitty that the kids might get hurt. But I mean, how else you want to do it? You want to just fall in love with a guy and then the kids don't like him? I think you kind of have to involve the kids a little bit.
I don't know. And I don't fault her for the way she fell in love or if it's love or whatnot. But to Chris's point, she's putting all this pressure on the kids, and not if this is a true test of can Juan be a father. Well, this is a false test, because now you're telling the kids, don't act like you normally do, put on your best face, and then you're bringing Megan in also to try to mitigate the amount of fatherhood that needs to be there. And so she's doing everything she can to make it easier for Juan to pass the test. It's not a true test. Let it be a true test, and let's see if he is up for the challenge.
You know what a true test would be? If Juan went to freaking Wyoming. Mm-hmm. That would have been a true test. But I think it's like really cold. She's like, no, let's go on a vacation and let's be that the true test. So that's why they're in Colombia. And it's fun. But honestly, playing house for a week, how much are you going to learn? And having a Megan there that's going to babysit, so they can share their master bedroom, even though the kids called it. So I don't know. I don't know how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, the kids are like, I want to sleep with mommy. Like that 5-year-old or 6-year-old, I don't know how old he is. He doesn't get it at all. And when mom's like, you cannot sleep with me, he's like, you're being mean. And if he even slightly remembers his mother saying, don't mess it up for me, then he could feel some kind of way about that. And yeah, Megan being there, Megan is just happy that this whole situation is happening to her. She now has a story that she can tell her other friends about her one friend who went to Colombia on a cruise and like met a man and is now in love with him. I mean, Megan is there taking video and photographs of them, like loving each other. I feel like Megan is her like chaperone and comes on every trip simply to take video. There's a lot of pictures of those two. And it's not them taking it. They're not selfies. Like, it is somebody else having taken these pictures of them.
Megan is thanking her lucky stars. The activities director was interested in someone else on the last cruise because, she'd be in this predicament herself. But when they got to Colombia, there was a real embrace. When Juan saw the kids saw Juan. I was like, this is sweet. This could work. He is showing love and affection and attention to the kids. He's not just all about banging mom, which is until the kids call the master bedroom. Then he's like, I don't know if I can do this. You take the master bedroom, I'll take the masturbating is really what it came down to.
Hi-yo. All right, John. Hey,
we're having fun here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't even say I'm rooting for them because it's false hope. I don't see it working out in the long run because of the kids.
I'm rooting for them for 2 reasons. One is because I feel for the kids, and if he could be a good dad, sure. Second reason is very selfish, and it's me wanting to be on the 90-day OG when he actually moves to Wyoming, because I'm so down to watch this dude in Wyoming. And again, we've been there, and I have a decent idea of what life is up there like, and I don't think I could do it, and I'm very outdoorsy, or I think I am. I don't see Juan doing this or making it. So please make it work and go on 90-day OG because I'm here for it. Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. You heard it here first. Any other thoughts about Juan and Jessica?
I just think that you're right. I think that if they're on, and which they should be on, we're going to see him come. It's going to be culture shock. She's going to ask him, like, why aren't you making money for us? You got to start doing this. Why aren't you doing this for the kids? You're not doing this for the kids. And then he's going to be like, but I don't even know what life's like here. And how come this is, like this, I can't even get my working permit. I can't even do this yet. And she's going to be like, stop playing video games. Stop drinking all the time, and he's going to be like, yes. I really can see it happen. So I agree. I'd like to see that kind of, play out.
Mm-hmm. It's a tale as old as time on 90 Day Fiancé.
Song as old as rhyme.
Mm-hmm. Beauty.
And like to not to give shit to foreigners. I think a lot of foreigners, not all of them, but a lot, are very humbled and hardworking people. But you need to be in a city with opportunities, right? And I don't see a lot of opportunities for him in a small town Wyoming. Again, like it's just not gonna happen. Like let's say he's a bartender, right? He's a decent bartender. Who are you going to bartend for? How, if they lived in a bigger city, I can see them happening. I can see him making money. I can see him contributing to the relationship, unlike many others. But I just don't see this. But as I said many times, I'm so here for it. I'm also curious what she does for a living. Guys, I'm super excited about our new sponsor for the pod. You guys know that John hates when I talk about working out, but it's a big part of my lifestyle. Well, something else has become a part of that lifestyle, and it's called Fit Aid energy drinks. I'm actually drinking the blackberry pineapple right now, and I could try to describe how good it is, but right now you can actually save 40% off your first order of 24 cans of Fit Aid energy plus free shipping. Wild! So you can try it for yourself. You guys just need to visit www.drinkfitaid.com/marriedtoreality. One more time, www.drinkfitaid.com/marriedtoreality, and make sure you put the www in the URL. And I'm looking at John, and he's also drinking a can of something delicious. You want to tell us about it, Jonathan?
Yeah, you actually just caught me mid-sip right there, Teresa. I am drinking the peach mandarin flavor. I think it's my favorite. It's refreshing. It's delicious. But the best part, all the flavors are 100% naturally sweetened with none of that gut-killing aspartame, no sucralose or Ace K. Words I can barely say, words I don't want to hear Teresa even try to say. Plus, Fit Aid Energy is packed with all the essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients you need after a workout, like branched-chain amino acids, glucosamine, electrolytes, turmeric, omega-3s, and vitamins B, C, D3, and E. And maybe my favorite part, Fit Aid has 200 milligrams of clean caffeine from green tea. Clean caffeine from green tea, Teresa. So I get the energy I need without any of the synthetic ingredients.
I love that. Do you want to know what my favorite part is?
I think I can guess, but tell me, Teresa.
My favorite part is that Fit Aid Energy is only 15 calories per can, and it comes in 4 very delicious flavors, including mango sorbet, yum, raspberry hibiscus, yum, and of course peach mandarin and blackberry pineapple, yum yum.
So, like Teresa said, right now we're giving our listeners 40% off your first order of 24 cans of Fit Aid Energy plus that free shipping by going to www.drinkfitaid.com/marriedtoreality. Again, www.drinkfitaid.com/marriedtoreality. We'll also put the link in the show notes, so check it out. And thanks again to Fit Aid for sponsoring this podcast. All right. If there's nothing else to say about that couple, should we move on to the talk of the town?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is all of our dreams come true. This is like a 90-day fiancé fairy tale. It's almost like I feel the same way about Lydia being on Love in Paradise, the same way I feel about Mother Debbie being on Single Life.
Wow.
It's the same thing for me. It's like,
It is.
another franchise and it's your turn, you know?
And
But I
they're
did
both
like watching Deb.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I'm liking watching Lydia. And full disclosure, we never watched Family Chantel.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if there's anything we need to know that comes into play from that storyline to this, if you guys have watched, please share.
Wait, can I just clarify? But did you watch when Pedro and Chantel were on 90 Day Fiancé?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
We
do know-
watched
so you
all
know-
90-day fiancés, all seasons.
Yes. So this is you know her. You know her. Wow. What?
We know
the
chicken
like all
feet, we know.
all that happened. Yeah, because all of that happened on 90 Day Fiancé. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
there was
harvesting
more.
the American dollar happened
Oh
on 90 Day
my
Fiancé.
gosh.
And then the awkward, the fight, the kick. What you
Oh,
say?
yeah.
What you say? That happened on 90
Oh,
Day
yeah.
Fiancé.
Yeah,
That's
Lydia's harvesting the TLC dollar. And that's, I think, why she's
yeah.
on.
And I am,
Yes.
listen, bravo, because your son went on a random show. I mean, really, it's Chantel was the one who put them on, but they are the reason why Nicole and Lydia are the reason why they stayed. And that's important. And even with season 1 of Chantel, the family Chantel, Lydia and Nicole were there. Nicole has learned English. Like, she fully
true.
learned a new language so that she could be on an American television show. And they have done the best with their makeup and their money. So I'm happy for them. It's an evolution and I'm happy to see. And when she walked out in her bathing suits and shit, I was like, yes, bitch. Yeah.
They're
She
the
looks
only
snatched.
They're the only family that has parlayed it into their own series, except besides Darcey and Stacey, right?
I love the girls.
Annie and David, they have
I
a
don't
show.
ca- Yeah,
They're too happy for this.
Okay.
They're too in love. I don't know.
Yeah, Alex
yes.
and Alexi and Lauren, and then David and Annie have
Also
those
too happy.
spinoffs. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
good for them. And yes, Lydia is looking good. But before we go down that rabbit hole, we have to talk about Scott. Okay. He's a respiratory therapist. He lives with a swell dog. He has a swell dog, Allie.
Very
who is
swell dog.
Did you notice, though, and I've talked to Therese about this, she didn't notice it, Allie was wearing a service dog vest. Ooh.
Oh.
What service does that dog provide? Is he a translator? Because I don't think Scott speaks Spanish. What service does this dog provide?
Maybe it's like a
Grounding
support.
techniques. Yeah. Listen, yeah, I think that Scott maybe deals with some anxiety, which later on in the season when he's going to get an earful and an eyeful and, you know, a face full of Nicole, like we'll just see how he can handle it. But I mean, I feel, listen, I bet he wishes that dog was there with him when he's in the DR, honey, getting almost attacked.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting relationship. But yeah, beautiful dog. He is in Florida. Hello, native Florida. I mean, we're not, but maybe he is.
It's where all 90 dayers are born or go to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, do you know where Spring Hill is? Where is it?
No.
Is
No,
it like
it's just all
Miami-ish,
Florida.
Tampa-ish?
It's all Florida. It's all Florida. There's Miami and then there's the rest
The
of Florida.
Yeah.
It's in the rest of Florida, I would imagine.
Scott loves that dog, honey. It has a service vest. It has a red tutu, honey. I mean, he is
They
dressing
take
it up.
showers together.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Scott says that he was with his high school sweetheart for 25 years, and that's the only woman he had sex with. And after 25 years, he divorced her and went buck wild.
Buck wild.
And
Like a kid in a candy store, he said.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, good thing that they get together in high school and, 20, 30 years ago, whenever, because like nowadays, I don't believe in high school sweethearts because you have to bang it out of your system, try all the apps. I'm sorry, it's true. Try all the apps and then meet someone who are like, yes, been there, done that, but this person is it. Because if you just stay with someone you meet when you're 15, then you get to like 25-ish, and who knows what, all the apps nowadays. I met John on Tinder. And it was like a kid in a candy store, and he was the best candy I came across. And here we are.
Extra sweet. Hello.
Extra sweet. But it's so true. Like John has some past. I don't really, but I was dating. But I'm glad we don't talk about it. But I'm glad because now I feel like, all right, he did his thing, I did my thing, and it wasn't it. But then we met each other, and here we are. If you just meet someone in high school, you never try anything else, and I don't believe it's gonna work out. In nowadays world, absolutely not. And Scott came across all these apps, and he's like, "Holy shit! Like, look what's out there." And
Can you
here
imagine
he
the
is.
first person he had sex with after his wife, after 25 years, he's only had sex with only one person's only this whole life. Like, I wish that I could just kind of be like, can you just tell us about that first time after? Like, what was that like for you? You know,
your
like
penis.
I would
Yeah.
love to know.
and her. And I want to know. It's like, well, it was not just him. I want to know what it was like for her.
I'm sure it was over before it started.
Oh no, I'm on all the apps now, and I'm fully in my hoe phase. And it's the first time I've ever been in a hoe phase, and I am having a great time.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
I
you
love
gotta-
that too. And I think everyone should be in their hoe time. At
everyone.
At one point of their life or multiple points, you do you. But I feel like it's important to like put it out there and see what you like, what you dislike, especially now.
It must be, and I experienced this. I was in a long-term relationship, and then the apps started to pop, and you're like, "What? How did I not get to experience life with apps?" And then I got out of the
Then you
relationship,
did.
and I met my wife. But yes, to be in a relationship and never be able to experience what it's like to swipe, it's you must
Gotta
feel like you're
swipe.
missing. You got to swipe. You got to try it out.
Gotta swipe.
You got to stretch that finger. And yeah, it's got to.
Stressful and
And other
exhilarating at the same time.
It's addicting. It's a little too addicting. which is the only downside. But it helped me find my wife, so it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, when it works out, it works out. And, listen, for Scott, though, okay, this is what I want to know. Do we believe this story? So this is what we're supposed to believe. That Nicole has been dating Alejandro, which is must have been on Family Day Chantel. I didn't watch that, but wow. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I watched all seasons. I got to support Black people. So I watched all 4 seasons of the Family Chantel.
Did we see
so
Alejandro?
What's the story?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You guys don't know who Alejandro is. Let me tell you. Okay.
Yes, tell us.
I think like season 2, Alejandro came into the scene, or maybe season 3. And he is a person that Nicole met on social media, and he's from New York City. And nobody knew about him. So Lydia didn't really know about him. Pedro didn't really know about him. And then one day, Alejandro came to the Dominican Republic, and he was like telling Lydia like all the things that he does. Like, he's a hustler. He works at a dishwasher. He's done this. He works at a cell phone store, whatever. And Lydia fully felt like he was absolute basura for her daughter. Like, she could do so much better. She had basura is trash, and that she could that she was like Miss Dominican Republic or ran in the pageants, and she was educated, and she could do so much better than Alejandro. And so she hated Alejandro, and Alejandro was like this slick. Like, he always had a lot of cologne. He wore tight pants. He had his hair coiffed, and Lydia hated him because she thought that he was just like a dishwasher, like a dirty dishwasher who didn't belong. And then Pedro ended up flying to New York City to meet with Alejandro.
I've seen
fought him on the streets, and Chantel is like somewhere in the background being like, Pedro, no, as like they're fighting in the streets or whatever. And that was all trumped up. Alejandro didn't do anything to Lydia, but Lydia just hated him outright. So they had like a season and a half or whatever together. And somehow she meets Scott through Alejandro, who lives in New York City. Alejandro doesn't even live in Florida.
They work out at a gym together. And like what?
Where's the gym?
Like virtual?
I don't know, in Virginia. It's Virginia. That's where it is. They met in the middle.
Maybe Alejandro was on a vacation in Florida or something. But I had the same question because I didn't watch Family Chantel, but Jen and I, we do travel quite a bit. And when we do, obviously, John takes an hour-long shower, so I put on the cable that we don't have normally. And I was watching Family Chantel multiple times during the time that it was on cable. So I've seen some of these stuff. And yeah, I don't get it. Like, I knew he was in New York City. I knew there was some drama. I knew about the dishwasher thing. But yeah, I don't exactly know how he met Scott. It doesn't add up.
Maybe Alejandro moved to Florida, because a lot of New Yorkers do that. They move to Florida for, cheaper cost of living.
Guilty.
Yeah. And so like he might have done that. And also I think that Alejandro's thing was that he was married. Like, he came here on somebody else's K-1 visa. And that was the reason why Lydia hated him, because he was married to somebody else who he was like in the middle of getting a divorce from, but hadn't gotten that divorce. And so Lydia just felt like he was one of these like scamming men who like came to the US. But I'm like, it's going to get it's going to get Nicole to the US. And then the other argument was that Nicole was going to leave Lydia by herself in the Dominican Republic.
I mean, someone needs to keep sending her TVs and stuff now. And Pedro, I don't know if Pedro still does that. But I mean, Lydia is a lawyer, right? I don't know about the DR, but like in the US, if you are a lawyer, you make the big bucks.
Yes.
No matter what kind of a lawyer you are, you make decent salary. So in Czech, for example, if you're a lawyer, you make a decent salary. Lydia, however, I'm not sure how that thing works.
Yeah. And it's just like the amount of schooling it takes to be a lawyer in the US, it kind of doesn't add up. So like every time she says she's a lawyer, I'm like, let's go to your office. Like, why can't we film in your office and see you doing some lawyering? Do you have a business card? Like, is there a door with your name on it? Like, something, because I don't quite understand. Yeah, I don't quite. I don't quite understand the. Yeah, I feel like the home that they have, Pedro paid for, right?
I don't know, but I know. Like, okay, I have a thing. lately. For some reason, when I get drunk, I always want to be an immigration lawyer. And I drunkenly research. And then I sober up and I realize what I research. And it's just so much shit and so much work. And I have my bachelor's. I would have to get another extension bachelor's and the master's. And I don't want to get into that, but it's very difficult, right? And I can imagine, I have a friend who's a lawyer in Czech. It was like 7 years of schools. So I don't think it's just hard in the US. I think it's hard everywhere. But if you don't see her doing any of it, so I don't know if she got her degree and she doesn't practice. But if she was a badass lawyer, then I don't think she would be serving chicken feet and asking Pedro for a flat screen TV to bring in his luggage. But I might be wrong.
All right, we got to move on because we're bearing the lead here. Lydia had a glow up. Can we talk about this glow up? Because I hate to say it, but she looks good.
Chris?
Maybe that's what she does with her money.
You know, it reminds me of, you know how like when you watch The Bachelor and you have like the contestants that are going for The Bachelor, the girls, and then, you know, like one of them gets picked to be the Bachelorette that he didn't pick last time. And so there's always a transformation from that initial Bachelor woman contestant that was going for The Bachelor who is now the Bachelorette. Same thing. If it's the man going for the Bachelorette and he becomes the Bachelor, that person, when he's the Bachelor, will be 20 pounds lighter, will be tan, honey, will be tan, he would have gotten like a spray tan. He would have gotten veneers. There's all these little things. If it's girls, then yeah, there's guys for sure, Botox, girls, maybe a little filler too. Like there's all the little things. She's gotten a lot of laser work to try and do her and get her like pigmentation down. She obviously has her hair done. It looks like extensions in some ways, you know,
for sure.
like, yeah. She, you know, she's had a glow up. I just want to know this, like, how is Nicole? Is Nicole had braces on for the entirety of my life?
She needs a new orthodontist.
She did.
I don't understand if is it clear and it went off? Is it back now? I mean, like, I know that she speaks better. Like, she speaks such better English. I'm like, is this some sort of like Elon Musk bracelets, honey? It's just like you can put on, you know, like braces speak better. I'm not quite sure. Like, but yeah, she's had them for a minute.
She got her braces off in season 4 of the Family Chantel. They were already off. Okay. So when they have the confessional of her with the high pony with braces on, I'm very confused. I'm like, did they film part of this during the 4th season or the 3rd season of Family Chantel? And this is all old footage? Like, or what? Because I noticed that too. And I was like, she been had her braces off. It was like a whole episode about how her braces were off. And now she has it on. Yeah.
With those braces, I had those braces when I was young for 3 years. And I wish I still had them because 10 years or 20 years later and my teeth shifted. But I know like a friend of mine got them at the same time and she had them for 6.5 years, like 7 years, because her teeth weren't straight at all. So she had her braces for the longest time, like from middle school through high school.
But
so
also,
this might be her
you,
case too.
How do you accessorize for the holidays if you don't have braces? You got to put on like the black and orange rubber bands. You got to do so. I get that from an accessorizing standpoint, but yeah, that seems to be a long time with braces.
Yeah, I for the linear sake also, I would have loved for them to also be like, and also, we hate that Chantel because where we are in life, they are divorced. You know, like I kind of like want them to like also tell us like how they're feeling about that situation, because obviously in the 90-day world, honey, we've been knowing that like Chantel and Pedro were like definitely not together, have been not together, and like Chantel did the PR campaigns, like at one point like leaked a little like mediatake.com story that like Drake was trying to hit her up in her DMs.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like whoever is handling that PR, like I'd like give that person a medal. Also, can you like handle like some podcasts, because that person gets shit done. But yeah, like I want them to like talk about that. Like, well, you know, it's hard looking out there for love because sometimes even when you find love across seas, it doesn't work out, especially in our family. You know, like I wish they would just like let us know that we know. They know a little bit.
Yeah, be a little more self-aware. That is interesting. I didn't think about that her son found love or tried to find love in America. Now she's doing the same thing.
I think it's her time to shine, and she's just not going
She's shining
back.
all right. She's shining on. I'm sure she's
just
just
moving forward.
I think she's just as ugly on the inside. Time will tell.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The
so the whole thing
previews
is
look juicy. Not so juicy for Scott.
what? So what are the
Luckily, he has Allie because he'll need her.
I tune out during the previews. I think I just shut down and I say enough is enough. What happened on the previews?
Oh my God. When Nicole comes at him, she's like, you are a miserable, stupid little man or whatever. And by the way, she looks completely different. Like for some reason, like we are also seeing like a glowed up Nicole. Like in this version of Nicole, she looks back like when we first found her, like hair broken short, like, you know, like in like a back ponytail, like no makeup, just like those eyes, honey, and that like the gummy smile, whatever, it's all there. So like she's yelling at this man and he's like, well, you know, my kids aren't here to defend me and I'm not going to have my reputation be slandered or something like that. Like, I don't know what she's saying or whatever, but he's like handling it as well as he can, which is like a little, because the man's so big, he's a big ass white man or whatever, but he's like, has the, you know, what seems like the demeanor of like a, you know, a little puppy. Does he loves dogs or whatever? And so
The gentle giant.
yeah, very gentle giant. So like that looks like a very intense scene where also Lydia's in that scene. So we're all there. So
And then we have a scene where she like goes to the water's edge and just like lays in the tide, and we're like, "Oh, this is your 5th or 6th season of reality TV, so you know exactly what is needed." You know, they're getting their money from reality TV. Their glow up is not because
100%.
she's a lawyer. It's because Nicole and, you know, the family Chantel really bolstered that entire family. So I honestly think that Lydia should have wrote a letter to Chantel thanking her.
Absolutely. And I think the harvested American dollar goes farther outside of the US, right? So I'm sure she is living her best life and is going to continue to live her best life, probably without Scott, because I don't see that happening. And the one thing we learned that I didn't realize, but she doesn't speak any English, but he doesn't speak Spanish. And there's this moment when he's like, I don't know what she's saying. I don't speak Spanish. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like pulling Carini, like the translator. Like, no, like that is not gonna work. But
so we were torn a little bit down the middle on Jessica and Juan. I feel like I know where we all stand here, but Lydia and Scott, do we think this is real love?
No.
I'm seeing thumbs down. Seeing heads shaking.
yeah, I not only do I not think it's going to last, I am just even suspicious how it started. I don't know. This reeks of plotting for a position as a cast member, and no one would plot harder than those two women, honey. They've been plotting and they've been glowing up. I mean, like they're like, it feels a version of like Cinderella's stepsisters. It's like, you know, Cinderella's. Well, if it's not that I want to give this to Chantel, but it kind of feels like, you know, she's a stepmom and there's one stepsister, you know, and they're just mildly evil and this is their ball they've been trying to get to, you know.
Well, I'm invested. I'm in.
So am I.
Oh yeah, no, I am too. I'm sorry if I. Oh yeah, no, I'm in. All of it. Yeah. Also, I just can't believe that we didn't even talk about the 3 other couples that we don't see. We have 3 whole other couples we don't even know. Usually we have like maybe 1 or 2. That's what's so weird about this. It's like 45 minutes of this Love in Paradise. We have 3 couples this episode that we were introduced to. We still have 3 more, you know?
Do you guys know anything? Sorry, go ahead.
No, they finally put it on TLC, like to start off with. So that's interesting because before it was all on Discovery Plus. And usually when they put it on TLC, I mean, I know Seeking Brother Husband is still only 45 minutes and same with Seeking Sister Wife, but it hasn't got the juggernaut hour and a half slot yet. So
Thank
it's
God.
still quite manageable. And I am excited that it's not going to be 17 episodes, you know? I hated HEA. It was like 17 episodes. So it's going to be fun, concise, cute, and then we're going to move on.
Yes. No, I love the 45 minutes. And I wonder, are they putting it on TLC? Are people just bailing on Discovery Plus? Because as we said earlier, I don't know if it was on the podcast or off, but now that they're not releasing it early on Discovery Plus, there's like no reason for so many people to have it. So maybe there's like, you know what? People don't have Discovery Plus. Put Love in Paradise on TLC.
Well, Discovery Plus is merging with HBO.
That's true.
So it's gonna call it Max, and all like the badass shows like Succession and White Lotus and great movies like Harry Potter are gonna be on the same channel as all this trash we love. So it'll be interesting. But I'm here for it because I mean, one subscription for all.
Yeah, I can let go. So it's gonna be called Max.
Yeah.
So not HBO Max. So I need to let go of HBO Max. Good to know. Thank you.
I don't know when they're merging. I think it's soon. But yeah, they're going to merge. And so it's going to be cheaper for us, I hope. Unless they make do the math and the subscription is going to be like
$25 a month.
Yeah, $25 a month.
That may play into what you guys do though very nicely with docu-series and documentaries and all the HBO content as well as the trashy Discovery content.
Yeah, we actually do a lot of Netflix and Hulu when it comes to those kind of docu-series too. But I just want to say, the three couples, now that we don't know anything about the couples other than their names, but one of their names is that we have another Valentine. Can you believe that we're going to have two Valentines on the show, which is like mildly annoying? One has a big L, so you can, one has a big, one big L. But yeah, there's Everton and Jordan, April and Valentine, and Anna and Matthew. So, God, we'll just see, shall we?
A lot to look forward to.
Previews look juicy.
And you guys are covering this on your free feed?
We are, we covering this on our free feed, and we are doing Love After Lockup as well. Of course, we're doing 90 Day Fiancé Toe. We just got done with Love Is Blind. We have to look for our next kind of little juicy docu-series that's kind of bingey in a streaming service. We don't know what one to do. So if you have any recommendations.
Outlast.
No.
You don't like it, John?
I do, but to talk about it, I don't know if there's much to talk. It's the Netflix
like
Survivor show in Alaska.
16 survivalists compete for a chance to win a cash prize in an Alaskan wilderness. That's so funny because Law loves
so it's
Alone.
like Alone? Yeah. So is it
Yes.
like Alone and Survivor at the same time on Netflix?
Completely. It's a team version of Alone.
Yes.
A competitive,
So you get more action,
Outlast.
and they do have camera people. So it's like, I loved Alone, but I hated that it was all like selfie filmed. I kind of still want to feel like I'm there, and I didn't feel it. They do have camera people here because they follow them around. They still do the whole thing. Like, they don't have anything. They have a few items to build their shelters with and all that. But everything else, they just do on their own. The camera people just follow them. They don't help out. And I like it.
Wow.
Have you?
We did Jared from Subway catching a monster. And Chris was so upset during the whole thing because it wasn't funny, and you couldn't make it funny because it's about like trigger warning, child inappropriateness. And but it did kind of well on our thing. So like all the horrible ones, it's kind of hard.
Okay.
Because they're not funny, and it's hard for us to make be clever and funny with it.
We're excited about Match Me Abroad. Have you heard about that one?
No.
That's going to be that's on TLC next month, I think. And
May
it's
14th.
Oh, Teresa's got our calendar circled. We're most excited about it because finally there's going to be people in the Czech Republic. None of these 90-day shows have Czech people finally. And the storyline here, I think, is Americans looking for love in other countries. But the twist is there's matchmakers in the Czech Republic, in Morocco, in Colombia, and they're going to help Americans match with these foreigners.
Oh, it's kind of like Caesar in Ukraine.
Yes. So a whole series of that.
I'm very excited because the mentality of Czech people is like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I love it here. And so I don't know. As I mentioned before, I was an au pair, right? I met plenty of Czech au pairs. 95% are back home. They just did not like it. And the reason why I stayed for college, stayed for my education, I stayed for work, and I met John while I was doing all that. So I didn't meet John when I was an au pair. I was past that. And I met him at a point of my life where I was like, I knew what I'm doing, right? But so many of my like Czech au pair friends, they were like, no, we're going back home. Like, we're not staying here.
I think Match Me Abroad, who's to say that the Americans wouldn't move like the other way style?
That's very true.
So that's on the radar.
Well, it depends on
teach-
the visa. I mean, sorry, sometimes it just obviously depends on whether the person they're in love with can even get a visa, right? Like, so, and obviously, I wish I could be more. It's just, and the list of countries are just like whatever privileges some people get and some people don't on just whether their country is on a list or whatever. So I guess I also now want to see like what countries they pick. Like, is Morocco on one of those lists?
I think it was Morocco, Colombia, Czech.
Mm-hmm.
Can you answer me a question? This is off topic. What's the difference between a nanny and au pair? Au pair means that you teach them a language, right?
No, it's like au pair. It's like, so au pair, it's almost like it's a program. So it means like it's an international person. It's someone who doesn't live in your town or in your country, and you're bringing a different perspective into your home. And it's literally an exchange program. So like there is an agency. Like, so when I apply, you have to apply to this agency. You go for an interview. You have to get certified for like if the child chokes on a candy, and then you have to prove that you work with kids. So I took a bunch of photos with random kids that my mom is a teacher. So I was like,
no, we're not talking about the Jared documentary anymore.
No, but I have cousins too, so I like pictures with kids, and I did teach art classes for kids in high school. It was my high school job. And then you apply to this agency, you create your profile once you get approved, and then the families in the US are going through your profiles, and if they want to chat, they request a chat. So you get on like online chat, but you both have to agree. So it's not like, they pick you go. Like you have to match. It's almost like Tinder in a way. And if you do match, then the agency, they send you a plane ticket. You fly. The agency I was here with, it's called Au Pair in America. So you fly to New York City. You spend like 5 days in Stanford doing all these trainings and some trips to New York, meeting other au pairs. And then you go to the family. And then once a month, there is this like a coordinator who lives in the area, comes to your house, makes sure they take care of you, make sure you have your own room, you have your own bathroom, like make sure you have what you need. You need to be getting paid. Like there's so many things. And if the families don't follow through, you can do a rematch. So it's almost like, it's not just, I come to the US and I live on my own. It's that you have a security blanket, right? But once it's a limited project. So you apply for J1 visa, that's for 1 year. And there is an extension.
Aren't you glad you asked, Wah?
For another year.
No, I really am.
Jeez.
I'm into this because I thought the difference is that you were teaching the children another language. Like the au pair, if she's French, she's teaching them French.
No, it's more for the au pairs to learn English, to be honest. And I think at the end of the day, it's just more comforting for the family to have someone they get to know, living with them. And the girls are more invested in being with the kids because I hate to say this, but you don't have anyone else, right? It's not like, like you are a living nanny that goes out and whatever. It's like, no, like that's your family. So you get on like a deeper level anyway. I'm still in touch with the family. They went to our wedding and we're still very, very friendly. So it's if you get lucky and you find a nice family, it's beautiful. If you don't, I've heard crazy horror stories from even girls I know in person, and I wouldn't wish anyone to go through that. So,
well, thank you for telling me that. That's great. Now I know.
All right. Well, we've clearly reached that point in the podcast where Teresa forgets we're recording.
Absolutely. Oh, are we? I was going to add one more thing since we were recording. I remember this one time that we watched a YouTube video of you, Chris, and you had these posters of Alphonse Mucha behind you, who's a Czech artist, and we were commenting on it, and you were like talking back to us. I don't know if you remember because this is like 3 years ago.
Yes.
But we were like,
oh my God. That just
Chris's apartment in West Hollywood.
Oh my God. Yes. Thank you so much.
Shout out to Mucha.
Yeah.
No, I thank you for liking that. Yeah, I'm a theater arts nerd, and this is a French Nouveau artist who like championed this.
Yes.
That that kind, but also besides doing that, did amazing theater posters with like Sarah Bernhardt, who was like this female actress that played Hamlet at the turn of the century. She was like, like the biggest star of the stage, and she was this female who played all these badass roles. It's just all over posters and all of these theaters for her roles are all that style. I just like die for them. And of course he does like different advertisements, I think. But yeah, thank you.
He's amazing. Yeah. And he didn't do just that. We went to his exhibition last year in Czech. John, how would you describe it? Like, it was that there was like large scale paintings. You remember?
Yeah. Well, he did so many different styles, like Chris was saying. I love the advertising aspect of what he did, but then, just a great painter. And then one of our favorite Czech wines, they use his art for the labels, Vino Z Czech.
Oh, yes. I would. Yeah, no, I've listened. I buy wine by the label all the time. So I'm a wine label whore. So
keep an eye out for it.
Same.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, awesome. That was so much fun. Guys, tell our listeners where they can find you if they haven't already.
Okay, this is how you do it. We're Docusweeties. Thank you so much for obviously having us. Now, just so you know, obviously part 1 of this happened in our free feed. You can listen to wherever you listen to podcasts free. That's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you name it. However, if you want to see the visuals, and we give it, we do on Patreon. So you can also find us there. We are at Docusweeties on Instagram, at Docusweeties on TikTok, at Docusweeties1 on Twitter. And then Wa's going to tell you about the Patreon. Wa?
Yeah, so if you want to see the visuals of whatever you listen to on our podcast, you can do so on patreon.com/Docusweeties. It's $10 a month, and you get the audio visuals immediately after we record it. It gets loaded up onto our Patreon feed.
In our patio.
Also, on our veranda. Also, you get exclusive content. When we do a docuseries that we're not ready to put out, we'll put it on the Patreon first. And sometimes we ask your opinion on what you want to see and if we watch something extra. We also do a live every first Monday of the month. There's only one tier. It's $10. And we would love for you guys to join us and become part of the Patreon familia.
And I may or may not have shown my feet on the Patreon in part 1. So
we're still reeling from that.
Go find out. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. This was so much fun.
Yes.
This looks like a wild season. So listen to all of our thoughts everywhere, wherever you guys listen to podcasts. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Wa. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, guys. We had a blast.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
When you're struggling with your mental health, the world can seem pretty heavy, like no one understands what you're feeling or you're not sure how to ask for help. But here's the real truth. You're never in this alone. 988 Lifeline's trained crisis counselors are available 24/7 to offer the help and support you need to make it through. No judgment, no stigma, just someone to listen. Text or call 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, day or night. 988. Hope has a new number.